Welcome to the Planet Ready podcast, where we bring preparedness to where people are. You see, it doesn't matter who you are or where you live. Everyone faces unique risks and vulnerabilities to their future. Our job is to make sure you're prepared for any situation, whether it's a man-made hazard, a natural disaster, or even assuring your finances are in order. On this podcast, we get exclusive insights and inside stories from disaster survivors, world leaders, and experts from diverse backgrounds and fields of study. The conversations that we'll have focus on reaching the 99%. That includes families, friends, and even our neighbors, and especially those who haven't thought twice about readiness. Don't miss out on a single episode. We're bringing you everything you need to prepare yourself and your loved ones. So without further ado, let's begin. So this week on the Planet Ready podcast, we'll be looking at some of the challenges and success factors of females entering and advancing in the profession of emergency management. We'll also be pulling from our own guests' experiences to help realize these challenges. Let's go ahead and introduce our guests. First, we have Alexa Squirini, an emergency management analyst from Spin Global. Alexa has domestic and international experience in emergency management planning, terrorism studies, community engagement, training, and administrative support services. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alexa, but you're also a University of Maryland track star alumni who's also part of the school record-holding distance medley relay team. So it looks like we got a celebrity in here. What?
Go Terps.
Go Terps. Okay, yeah, we're all from the Terps family. We're all from the Terps family. I don't know about you, Sarah, but no shade, no shade, no shade. But next, we also have a returning guest, as I just mentioned. Sara Homan is a senior emergency management planner at Spin Global. Sara has over 15 years of emergency management planning experience from the local to federal level while focusing on catastrophic earthquake response and recovery planning. How are you doing today, Sara?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Where'd you go to school, by the way? Just
University of Illinois.
Okay. All right. I don't know if we beat y'all in football, but I think we have a terrible team.
Most people have.
Because our football team is actually pretty terrible too.
We were known for our basketball team when I was in school. So.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I hope nobody holds me to these statements.
Yeah, no comment.
All right, before we lose our sponsorships. All right, let's get into it. So it's an exciting time to be a woman in emergency management. While women are still underrepresented and in some cases discriminated against in the field of emergency management, they're continuing to climb the ladder and make a difference. Sometimes they do so quietly, choosing to focus on the mission at hand. And other times they make some noise, knowing that it's important for those following in their footsteps. Well, let's go ahead and get some input. Let's go to our first question. So Sara, can you tell us a little bit about a disaster that impacted your life and what you took from the experience?
Sure. As far as disasters go, there's so many that I could choose from. But one of the things I think that was really groundbreaking for me and really kind of set the tone for how I was going to be presenting myself as not only a person in emergency management, a planner or a practitioner, was during meetings when I was the executive director of the Red Cross chapter in Hannibal, Missouri. I was brand new, and I was at a meeting in the middle of nowhere. So the police chief, fire chief, road commissioner, just a lot of different people, and I was the only woman at the table, and they were talking in acronyms, and I was like sitting there. I'm trying to like look as professional as possible, and like I'm aware that I'm the only woman in the room, and but I finally said, I'm sorry, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, you're using so many acronyms, I don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on either. Like, wow. And so there was something so really like freeing about that moment of saying, I don't know what's going on. And I don't know if that's exclusive to me and just my nature, or if that was just my personality type. So basically everybody was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. So we basically kind of stopped and reset. And from that time on, I've used my vulnerability and my lack of understanding to kind of push forward that narrative of, hey, not everybody knows what's going on. Not everybody understands. So let's get everybody on the same page, because one of the inherent issues with emergency management is we speak in ways that's very excludes people from the conversation because we use shorthand so much. And so that's something that FEMA's been very aware of, local emergency management's been aware of. So even we even are guilty of it in, with It's Been Global. When we're in our meetings, sometimes we'll be talking about, this contract or that, or, it's just something we need to be aware of is when we speak in acronyms and make sure that everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, so. Exactly. I feel like sometimes in emergency management, I myself even have a hard time like really understanding what's going on, because I don't really have that much of a background in emergency management. So when there's a lot of jargon that's used, when there's a lot of terms and acronyms, like you said, that are being thrown around, it's like I'm trying to navigate like a minefield. I'm like, oh man, like I'm trying to figure all this out. And it's just like, so much is coming at you at one point and you don't really know how to process it or understand it. And so I think the important thing is to start being more inclusive so we can bring people in, because that brings in more fresh and diverse opinions, because everybody has an idea of what's going on and everybody understands the language. And, it's new, fresh ideas, from upcoming talent. So completely agree with you on that one. The same question to you, Alexa.
I'm sorry, may you please repeat the question?
No problem. So can you tell us a little bit about a disaster that personally impacted your life and what you took from the experience?
So the biggest thing that comes to mind is my senior year of high school. In October 2012, Hurricane Sandy happened. And I'd say that's probably the biggest disaster that's impacted my life, other than COVID, which everyone has experienced. When that happened, I first learned about FEMA. I first learned about everything about, disaster preparedness, response, recovery. That was really my first exposure to it firsthand. As a lot of people in the community didn't think that it would be as bad as it was. It was very devastating to our community. So, the impacts of that, volunteering through that and seeing how that affected my town and my community really made me want to get involved in this field and help in the best way that I can.
Exactly, 100%. So let me direct one more question back to you. So how exactly did that experience motivate you and inspire you to get your own community prepared?
Yeah, so I think just seeing, after that, everybody was really resilient and came to help each other. But there was also a lot of loss, a loss of life, loss of property. So I think, all of that stuff put together motivated me to want to try and help people understand, their risks and, taking um, warnings and watches and knowing what to do when with this information and how to best prepare, insurance, knowing about, what your insurance coverage is. I think it's about 40% of people don't know that their homeowners insurance doesn't also cover flooding. So just a lot of knowledge and education there as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I had no idea.
What's really interesting is 2 years before Superstorm Sandy was there, I was there doing catastrophic planning. And so it was like 2 years removed from that project. I was in the Midwest. And so you were experiencing that. And I think that's pretty incredible that we had that shared experience of, I was there before, trying to get people to accept the fact that it was possible. That was probably the biggest hurdle, was it's possible. And then it happened 2 years later. So yeah, it was very impactful for me as well, even being in the Midwest. So
yeah, I'm starting to feel a little left out here. I wonder what I was doing during that whole experience. Hopefully I wasn't just sitting on the couch eating popcorn. Hopefully I was getting prepared myself. Shoot, because hearing about these experiences, they just make me want to jump on it. But anyway, Sarah, let me go ahead and direct the same question back to you, right? Depending on whether or not you're referring to the experience that you previously mentioned, or a disaster that had directly personally impacted your life, how did that experience motivate you to get your community prepared?
Well, I think that we like to do a lot of outreach, and we like to show the communities like what's being done. So when I was working for the state of Illinois, when I've worked for the state of Missouri. Really, it is boots on the ground, being in the community and watching my senior leadership out there working side by side with people who were, doing canteens, like feeding people, or when we were sandbagging the levees on the Illinois and the Mississippi River during the floods of 2019. So I think one of the best things is when our senior leadership, we're back in the State Emergency Operations Center running things. Our senior leadership goes out and talks to the mayors and talks to the locals, and creates that relationship, and gets a sense of what that community needs at that time, and then takes that information back, and then we build our plans better off of that information and those relationships, so that we know when a county like Alexander County floods, it's a county that is used to flooding. They know flooding. It's that's why they live there, because they're basically in the river. So it's just knowing the area you represent and understanding what their needs are, and not supposing what their needs are, and then helping them get what they need. So but yeah, excellent point on the flood insurance. Earthquake insurance is another one. That's also not included typically. So those are two very good points.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, exactly. Just even thinking about that, I think it's important that people really understand the significance of what you said. It's not coming in with your own ideas, your own conclusions about how
Mhm.
people should be preparing for what they're doing in their own particular environments. It's about making sure that you're hearing the needs and the concerns of those people, and that you address them according to their own needs and their own suggestions, and just taking
Mhm.
that feedback and working with it. So I think that's extremely important, because sometimes you just have experts that are coming in just like, oh, this is how you do it, and
Yeah.
anybody who goes against that, just, I don't know.
Authenticity is very important, especially
Mhm.
now post 2020. People are more aware. So authenticity in planning and in community preparedness is critical. People are going to know what's authentic and what's not. So
100%, 100%. All right, so let's go ahead and direct the podcast back to understanding the role of women in emergency management. So, Sarah, the first question is to you. So, why do you think it's been so hard for women to break into this profession, first of all?
well, so emergency management is really come a long way. When I was in college, it was not a major. So I basically put together my own master's program in national security and terrorism, uh, because because I was affected by the events on 9/11, and I was not in a position to serve my country in the military, but I decided that I wanted to do something in service of my country. So there just wasn't that opportunity, at least here where I was in the Midwest, for that type of degree. Well, now that's a degree program, so you can go to college and to universities and get a degree in emergency management. So before, it was something that people retired into. So typically it was people who were retired firefighters, law enforcement officers, would go into that. And those are typically male dominant roles. So they would go into these emergency management positions. And that's why it started out typically being positions held by men. So, but yeah, I mean, at first it was a little bit difficult. I think I caught the tail end of it. But I think the most important thing was how many women there are, as opposed to men, of course, but how many women are willing to help other women move up and be successful in emergency management, which is very critical. Which is why I have such a great working relationship with Alexa, because that's something that she and I do together, is to learn from one another.
Exactly. And Alexa, how do you feel about the question?
Very true. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah's definitely been a big mentor and learning figure for me. But yes, I would say. So the question was, being difficult for women to break into emergency management. Was that the question?
Yeah, yeah. Why do you think it's been so hard for women to break into the profession?
Yeah, I think, it's difficult in many professions. The same thing, women breaking into them, I think is difficult in many professions, and that the barriers aren't necessarily always that unique. But like Sarah mentioned, I think the field, like many, has a lot of older, experienced people, and that can be, intimidating when you go and you're brand new. You're just out of college, and these people have 25 plus years of experience, and they know what it seems like, everything, and
Mhm.
you're new, and there's so much to learn, so much to absorb, and sometimes you don't even know where to start. So I think that can be difficult, in many fields. Um, and a way to help with that, I think, is if you're interested in the field, getting a mentor, like someone like Sarah, who has a lot of experience, and talking to people with varying levels. Somebody who's new, somebody who's several years in, somebody who's decades in. Just to kind of understand how things work, and um, the work that can be done, the organizations you can join, and things like that.
Awesome, awesome. Now, Sarah, for this final question, so given our current moment with the pandemic still at play and seasonal hazards rearing their heads, what final thoughts would you like to offer to women who want to get involved in emergency management?
Oh, this is a great time to get involved. The thing is like there's been more of a presence of public health, and that's traditionally a female dominant role. So with COVID, we've seen a lot more women involved in response and things like that. But now's a great time. There's so much more awareness, and I talked about authenticity. People are going to have higher expectations of their state emergency management agencies, of FEMA, of DHS, and of just products that are being put out to keep people safe and prepared. So I think that, there's a finite number of people who do what we do. And now's the time to take those unique skill sets where if you're if you have like a master's in public health, if you have experience in response like EMS or fire or law enforcement or in the military especially, those unique skill sets can be rolled into emergency management planning or as a subject matter expert. So it's not really thinking outside the box. It's just applying your skill sets in a new and different way. So there's just it's unlimited opportunities right now. And with COVID opening up the possibility of, working from home used to be like a really unusual thing when someone said they work from home. And now it's just kind of the norm. When you say you work from home, people aren't shocked.
Hmm.
Oh, really? What do you do? Now it's like I work from home. They're like, oh yeah. So it's opened up the opportunity for women who don't want to move. Maybe they're a secondary earner in their home. So it's really a great opportunity.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now's the time.
And what about you, Alexa? How do you feel?
Yeah, I echo Sarah's comments, and I think, those who want to get involved in emergency management, are typically people who are very altruistic. They want to help people. I think everyone, it's been global, is that way. Um, you know, Back to what I said before, I think, getting a mentor, doing informational interviews with people, and whether that's government, nonprofit, small business, a large corporation, anyone that's involved in this space, really to get an understanding of how all those different types of organizations work differently, and kind of finding the best fit for you based on those things. And you can always do internships in all of those, really to figure
True.
out um, what's best for you and what you enjoy the most as well.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Thank you so much to both of you. Really appreciate your input. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the Planet Ready Up segment here. It's basically our game show where we go ahead and put our guests in the hot seat. So today we're going to be asking you both some trivia questions about famous women in emergency management. Are you both ready to play?
As I'll ever be.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So, Alexa, you get the first question. True or false? The founder of the American Red Cross was a woman.
True.
You locking in that answer?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the correct answer is yes, it's true. It's true.
Mm.
Awesome job. Awesome. It was founded in 1881 by Clara Barton.
That
So
should have been
awesome
the
job.
question. What year? Because I wouldn't have gotten that.
Okay. We'll be sure to do that next time for you. All right, Sarah, this question is for you. Who is considered to be the first woman in emergency management and homeland security?
Who's the first woman?
Pressure on. The pressure's on. Pressure's on. Who's going to be the first to fold?
I don't know.
We'll take a wild guess.
I have no clue.
Well, think of any woman off the top of your head right now. Just give any. You gotta lock it. You gotta put an answer in there, and we gotta lock it in.
Elizabeth Doyle.
Okay, you locking that in? You locking that in?
Dole. Elizabeth Dole. I'm sorry, Elizabeth Dole. Yes.
All right. The correct answer is Eleanor Roosevelt. That is the correct answer. Yeah, I know. This deep, right?
Oh, that's exciting.
Definitely. All right, and Alexa, here's the last question to you. So, where did Deanne Criswell start her career?
We were definitely not given these in advance. I think that's very clear. This is not set up.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be cheating. Exactly. We're putting both of y'all on the spot. Alexa, what's your answer?
I got nothing, Alexa.
Is it an organization or is it a like government type thing?
It's you could say it's a government type thing. 10 seconds on the clock.
I don't know.
You're locking in. Is that your final answer? I don't know.
Former, like, could it be like police or fire?
You gotta give me an answer.
I don't know. All right.
Alexa's locking in. I don't know is her final answer. The correct answer is the Colorado National Guard. What do you think about that?
I did not know that clearly. So
it just came out of nowhere, like a bullet. Like it's just, oh man.
I learned something new.
Didn't we all look? I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I wouldn't have done any better with any answers to these questions like you guys. So I mean, I'm proud of y'all for even taking a crack at it. It's really hard to get into to land some of the answers for these questions on the Planet Ready Up segment, but I'm glad both of y'all got in there and just did your best, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Really.
You tried.
Exactly, you tried. Anyway, I'm proud of the both of you, and I can't wait to have y'all back on because we got to do this again. All right, everybody. That's the last that's the last bit of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. We want to give a special thanks to all of our guests, Alexa Squirini and Sara Homan. If you want to find out more about their work, you can visit spinglobal.org, or you can visit our YouTube channel at Planet Ready by Spin Global. I also want to give a special thanks to our audience for tuning in today, because these episodes would not be possible without you. So we want to thank you all so much for tuning in, and we can't wait for you to join us in our next episode. But in the meantime, we hope you get ready for it. You've been listening to the Planet Ready podcast, proudly brought to you by Spin Global, a public benefit corporation that exists to disrupt disasters from neighborhoods to nations. Do you have questions or a topic you'd like us to explore? You can reach us at podcast@spinglobal.org. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Planet Ready by Spin Global. Don't forget to visit planetready.com and prepare yourself and your community on the world's premier online disaster risk reduction and emergency preparedness platform.